We were here with the idea of becoming bio-organic. It was hard in the beginning because Bordeaux people thought we would be gone away in a few months. It was not a fashion, you know.
And we think it's very good against urbanization, because we are close to the city of Bordeaux and we want to protect the landscape. As well, we want to improve the biodiversity for this vineyard.
We asked a banker to help us to found Red Bordeaux Left Bank, and his name was Mr. Vieille Vigne, which means old vines. It's
a good name.
It is a very good name.
A very good name. And he find here, and we fell in love, and we bought, and we bought too high, too fast. But as we
are still here.
Yes, and we love it.
And we enjoy.
Yeah.
35 years of nice things which happen.
Viens ici, Artie, viens là. He does not know his name. Et puis follow the other. Viens là, mec. Viens là. Oui, tu es un bon petit chien. Oui. Oh. Oui, je t'aime. Oh, toi tu t'énerves. Non. Chut. Non. Wow. The official photo. And so we were so pleased because I have always been a huge fan of Prince Charles. He was ahead of his time, totally obsessed with organic and biodynamic. And so you see, we were alone with him, which was great because they were, for security reasons, they were 20 meters in front, 20 meters behind. And we had outside.
King Charles actually chose as the only vineyard he wanted to visit when he was in Bordeaux in 2023. He visited Smith Haut Lafitte. And actually, the Cathiard family met him some 15, 20 years ago and started talking about this way of farming. And that's why he wanted to visit this estate when he had his visit in France.
We had a very interesting talk with him. And Camilla, she was the daughter of a wine merchant, I think. Of a granddaughter, I don't know.
But because I've heard that she's really interested in wine.
She's very interested in wine. And then they came, and he liked to put his hands in the dirt. He made a barrel with our cooper, and he put the staves perfectly. So we have the barrel of the king, of course. And then they walked, and she tries to give some food to the llamas, but they don't show it because the two llamas were totally afraid because they had 55 photographers. And then it was funny because we tested the year of their wedding, the 2005. He was not ill, he was in very good shape.
Usually when you arrive at a vineyard, there will be a wine shop. Maybe you will see the vineyards. There will be some steel tanks. There will be some barriques. But when you arrive at Smith Haut Lafitte, it's completely different. It almost looks like you're arriving into sort of a medieval small village. There are turrets, there are small towers, there's lots of buildings. The Cathiard family, they love art. So you will find these art installations in the vineyards, on the terraces, in the gardens, in the park. You can easily spend several hours here just walking around and looking at the buildings, the art. It's a very, very special place on many, many different levels. Florence, she's this force of nature. Instantly when you meet her, you know that this is very, very determined lady who knows what she wants.
We have been living in this place for 35 years now. It's our 35th harvest that we just finished a few months ago. We met in the national French ski team. Yes. He was a downhill racer, I was a slalom girl, but at the time we were obliged to race with 3 disciplines. And Jean-Claude Killy, who was the star, he told us that we should drink a glass of red Bordeaux left bank before, on the eve of the downhill race, in order
to sleep well.
To sleep well.
This was for the girl.
And you were right.
I never did that.
No.
But also we were students, both of us, which was quite different from the other members of the team. So we were studying in the Grenoble University, both of us.
We grew up together and we have always shared tasks together.
We were arguing about the price. We were thinking the price was too high for this derelict old chateau. And I was arguing a little bit about the red, which I didn't like so much, what they were making at that time. And they bring me a 1961, and I taste it. I say, okay, I'm done. I will sign the deal because it's so good.
Because you know,
it's worth buying this chateau.
In 61, they had a frost, and it reduced drastically the quantities. And so the guy who were always filling the big vats till the brim, they had not this possibility. And so Mother Nature made the job the owners did not make at the time. And so it was excellent, and we say, well, we can do something. Since the first year, which was crazy, because at the time you don't go like this from a totally chemical vineyard to an organic wine. So we had to play tango for years. And then now we have our 40 lines of compost. Not many people have this, you know, that we turn around with the right amount of horse manure, cow manure, and of course the branches of the vines and the must. We have, of course, the horsetail against mildew, the fern against bad insects, the nettles, which are natural fertilizer. And so we have huge pot for herbal tea. And now we have Morgan with her 2 horses. And she plow, but she also put the good pulverization. I don't know the name.
Oh, spraying.
Spraying. Thank you, Daniel. Yeah.
Hello. How are you? It's good for my wife. She needs to have quiet animals.
Today they make some of the best wines in Bordeaux. Absolutely wonderful white and stunning red wines. The technical director, Fabien, a mix between a sort of motorcycle guy and Karl Lagerfeld. Also this determination, and it's a really interesting combination of people and superb wines. And of course there's many more in this team as well, doing what they do best.
It's the reclam. And so it's this week we have to send all the data to the custom for them to register the quantity we pick, to control if you are not above the yield, and to control what the quantity we have and all the things. It's an old link with the alcohol production.
Yeah.
The states want to control that, and to be honest, the second effect is for taxes.
Yeah, of course.
So for that, I have to come now to do my declaration this week. Of course, we lost wine every day with the par d'essence, with the evaporation.
Yeah.
And so we need to top the barrels every month, something like that. A bit more at the beginning, because with the new barrels, the wood drink a bit, a small quantity of wood. So
Wood is smart.
exactly. All the quality is done outside in the vineyards, and when I cut the branches, the quality of the wine is done. If you are good in the cellar, we keep the level of quality. If you're not so good, we decrease the quality. This is the basement of the philosophy of the winemaking. And after, paying attention to the grapes don't crush it, sort very carefully to have no defaults, and after for the extraction, do something very soft with just punching down by hand. So no machine, no things active, no trituration, no mixture. It's just something taking time, infusion, and extract just the good quantity of tannin you need, no more. The question is not correcting after. If you have a good extraction, a good balance at the beginning, the aging barrels should be very long and smooth, and after the wine is done. So less you do, better it is for the wine. But it needs, you have to pick good grapes, with good ripeness, good thing. So it seems to be very easy. It's not easy every year to do that, but we are in this idea, less is the best.
Pessac-Léognan, one of the few places in Bordeaux where more or less every estate make both red and white wine. Why is this the only place where this... It happens also in Entre-deux-Mers and Bordeaux Superior, but for high quality, more expensive wines, this is quite a special thing for Bordeaux.
Yeah, in the Pessac-Léognan, in the gravel area, we have different kind of gravel, different kind of soil, and we have soil very well adapted for growing white grapes. And for that, we're able to do that. In other places, it's not the same thing and not the same history perhaps too, but we have a very good soil and very good exposure for making white wine.
And the grape varieties for the whites?
Mostly Sauvignon Blanc. We have some Semillon, could be very few and could be 40-50%. In the past, we used to have more Semillon in our appellation, but today it's a bit more, 20-30% of Semillon, and some small touch of Muscadet. And Sauvignon Gris, sorry, I forgot the Sauvignon Gris. Oh my goodness.
What do each of these varieties bring to the final blend?
It's not so easy to understand because classically people thought that the Sauvignon gives the tension, the freshness and the aromatic, and the Semillon gives the creaminess of the volume. But in fact, depending on the soil, depending on the way to grow, to manage the vineyards, you could have some Sauvignon rich and fat too. So it's not so easy. But for Smith Haut Lafitte, we build the wine with the Sauvignon. We have mostly Sauvignon Blanc. And after I use some Sauvignon Gris to increase the body, and I use some Semillon for the creaminess of the textures. For me, Semillon is very something linked with the perception in the mouth and the creaminess.
And what sort of age should for you be a perfect age to drink white?
You have two timing for the white. For the young vines, for the kind of things, just the youngness is okay. Before 5 years, to give an idea. And for the Smith Haut Lafitte, you can drink it very early on the freshness and the tension and the energy. And after you can forget a bit the wine and come back 5-10 years later, and you will have something more complex, more sophisticated, with more creaminess, less acidity, less punch, but very, very comfortable and very, very on the creaminess, on the texture, or the things very sophisticated, in fact. And you can keep it 20, 25 years, no problem.
And the reds, the red varieties you have?
We have at Smith Haut Lafitte more or less in the vineyards, 60% of Cabernet Sauvignon, 30% of Merlot, and after we have Cab Franc and Petit Verdot. Petit Verdot is one block, and Cab Franc is 5-6%. So why this repartition? Because of the nature of the soil. We have mostly gravel soil, so we have mostly Cabernet Sauvignon. But we have on the north of the estate some clay and limestone, very well adapted for the Merlot, as you know, and Cabernet Franc. So this repartition, this proportion of cepa of varietal is a reflect of the soil.
What do these varieties give to the blend, you think?
Cabernet is the backbone of the wine. It gives a very big structures, length, tannin, and it can make the skeleton of the wine. Merlot could give more volume, more density around the skeleton, and after Petit Verdot and Cabernet Franc are my salt and pepper, just for the aromatic, for pushing more the aromatic and the complexity of the wine.
And what would be your optimal drinking window for Smith Haut Lafitte on the red?
Personally, I like around 10 years. For me, it's a very good timing because you have the body of the youngness, but you have a beginning of evolution and the shape of the tannin. But after, my job today is to make a large open windows to drink the wine. So some people could drink, if they like the young wine, they could drink after 5 years, and we could drink for 20, 25 years. It's not a question. Today, the big deal for me is to give the key to the people, to the clients, to the wine lover, to choose when they want to drink the wine. And not just say, you have to wait 20 years. It's not possible. We are organic, we are biodynamic, so we use infusion of plants. So we don't use herbicide, we don't use chemicals. So all the things is done to keep this idea of balance and to give the ability to the place to live and to stay alive and come back. It's not just taking something from the soil, it's producing and giving something back. We cannot just steal things from the place. We have to give things to the place too, to help the place to stay alive and in a good shape. We decided 30 years ago to make the barrels by our own because we wanted to be sure of the things. All the wine of Smith Haut Lafitte are aged in barrels, so it's very important to control that and to be sure of the quality of the barrels. And so we decided in '95 to breed our own barrels. I mean, we buy the wood, we dry and mature the wood, which is a very, very important step, and sometimes it's a bit forgotten, because you need two years outside to have a good maturation of the wood. So I mean you have to buy the wood and stay 2 years outside before beginning to make the barrels. So a cycle is 4 years between buying and putting wine inside and tasting. It's 4 years, so it's a very long step. And of course it's quite expensive. So some people try to reduce this maturation time. And after the toasting of the barrels is easier for us, because we do, for each lot of wood, we do some dry, a bit less, a bit more toast. And the cooper tastes the wine with us. And so by the tasting, he understands what we are looking for. So it's not a medium, it's not a long, it's not something, it's just, I like this wine, I like this one. So he can make the link in his mind of what was the toasting he did, what was the smell he had, all the things. And so after that, he can transform that in the real toasting. And after we do a white toasting, a red toasting at Smith Haut Lafitte, and after we evolve every year a bit, because the grapes evolve, the weather evolve, and the perception of people evolves too. So we have to adapt the things like that on the barrel making too. But it's something very efficient, and we produce more or less 80%, 90% of the need of barrels we have. So I buy every year some barrels for making some tests and try to compare the outside production with ours. But the workshop here is really a workshop, and we produce the largest quantity we need.
we say that our whites are excellent sooner and better later. And I have prepared for you white to show that we can age very well.
The vintage 11, what was going on then?
Remember, it's in the shadow of 10. It's a good intent, especially for the white.
And I think, as you said, Daniel, the main problem is that it came after 9 and 10.
We don't have the same taste. Daniel likes the wine which are, if we draw them, it's parallel line, going very, very long. You know, it's the Caudalie, I am still feeling them, you know, the subjective seconds. The stories the wine are telling you after you swallow it. It's very long. But for me, for myself, I like the ones where they are a little rounder, with more shoulders, and they go better on a meal. But for a cocktail, that's perfect. This one is perfect for a cocktail because it's still vibrant, it's full of youth. It starts, of course, with citrus, but then immediately you have icy French flowers, and usually he sees French white peaches.
And apricots.
What is impressive in this white is that you have the salinity, a great salinity, and you want to taste more. Difficult to spit our whites, even in the future.
It's citrusy on the nose with grapefruits, a little bit of like grilled lemons.
Oui.
And then you have, I agree with the peach and apricot notes. On the palate, you get even more citrus, and you get that salinity.
Oui.
Your spit production really goes with this one because it's really refreshing, and and you also get this slight like an orange peel note,
Oui, tout à fait.
which is really nice. Yeah.
Oui, I agree.
Very nice. Nice complexity and nice energy to it.
I was looking for the peel. Merci. I will reuse it if you allow me. It's very good. I wanted to keep it because it's 2% recipes we had for our children. A lot of sports, a lot of studies.
Clear. Yeah, very clear.
2018 is a great vintage. I love it. I think it's a little early to drink it right now, but I think in 2 years from now it will be amazing. And it's among the new trend that we are making right now with the new climate, which gives us the ability of having the best maturity quite very often, much more often than before. And 18 is one of them. And it's a dark wine, it's a lot of fruit, and I see red berries inside and great length. But I think that the balance is very well done. It's not too much, it is exactly what we want to do right now. The kind of weather we have is quite easy to make.
Some of the 18s for me are getting a little bit too much pruny and figs, like these dried fruits. And this one is all about fresh, but really deep and ripe fruit. So it's not the most typical 2018, and I really like it for that. I think it's really... And I agree, it's still a bit on the young side. I would probably wait another, personally, 10 years, because I like a bit more mature wines. But I think this is a really beautiful 2018.
All right, I remember we did not take too much from the fruit because it was already giving a lot of spices and taste and fruits, and it was enough.
Extremely fun to get to taste the 1998 at the estate. It's a vintage where Pessac-Léognan, where Smith Haut Lafitte is, and the right bank is, especially Pomerol, are absolutely having some stars. So it's really fun to be able to taste that sort of first real recognition of what the Cathiards have done to Smith Haut Lafitte, but also because it's such a great and such a lovely vintage. If you ever find a Pessac-Léognan from 1998 in a wine shop, and the prices might not scare you off either, because it's a little bit forgotten today that 1998 is a true gem in Pessac-Léognan. So if you find one, go for it.
What's your take on 1998, which was a special vintage for you?
Yes, it was a very special vintage because we were elected, the two French with Cheval Blanc, to go on the stage among the 10 best wines of the world with Wine Spectator. So it was interesting to speak to an audience of more than 1,000 people, you know, and I was very proud. So I prepared myself, I spoke about, that was a good 15 years ago. I spoke about my 1998, and I had a lot of people clapping their hands. So I thought I was the best. And then a guy from Burgundy, he came and he had a standing ovation. So this, well, and I think humility is something which I miss sometimes, but wine is here to remember you of what you have to think and how you have to behave. And that's great with this wine because he does not fail. He's 20 years younger than the 18, almost 30 years soon. And it has still, it's still very good, even if I think we have improved, because there is a little hint of rusticity maybe. The tannins are well tamed, but they need the time, because at the time we were using more strong toasting. Now it's more light. Still, with time, it's almost perfect. And you know, in 1998, it was a great wine for the Pomerol and for the Pessac. Why? Nobody knows, because of the variation of climatology. You know what is needed to make a great wine, a great vintage? You need a fabulous team, totally dedicated. We have this at Smith Haut Lafitte. And then you need a great terroir, and you have to express its sensorial identity. And we have it. And I think we begin to go to the soul and spirit of the terroir. But in 98, it was good for these two places in Bordeaux. And we were happy to make a great 98 because it was not the case for others. And that's why we were selected. A lot of aromas and very spicy. Maybe a little slight hint of liver, but at this stadium, it's okay for me. And we were already on the organic side, which you can feel, but not yet certified. And I think it's still a great wine. Maybe it will last 10 years, 15 years, no more, I think. Because it's not supposed to be a huge vintage like 2000, for instance. But at Smith Haut Lafitte, we like this kind of challenging vintages. And I love it. And also, it's liquid history, liquid geography, all what we expect from a great wine.
When I see the flavor profiles in modern wines, they evolve as slowly as before. It's just that the wine is really nice to drink also when it's young, which it wasn't really 20 years ago. So I'm not afraid that modern wines are not going to age well. I think they will age as well as before, and the precision is different and everything. But I really love wines at this. Well, I also love older wines. I remember this spring when we shared the 1961 at this beautiful event here, and it was absolutely gorgeous still. And I think this is absolutely lovely. For me, this is, I think it will probably last easily another 20, 25 years, but it depends how old, how mature you want your wine. Yeah. But for me, the drinking window now is perfection. You have that young cassis fruit is still there, but you have dates, you have figs, you have tobacco, you have all.
Yes, tobacco.
You see tobacco. All of that complexity at once, which is a really, really nice place for wine. And I think it's absolutely
It's
wonderful.
a pity you have no more. It comes from our private cellar.